You're a Navy crewman who became lost at sea after your ship was destroyed. Eventually, you feel yourself become weak from exhaustion. Now you're starting to sink under the water. As you sink, you feel the warm, salty water fill your lungs, along with the rest of your body. You can't breathe, and you instantly start panicking. Jolted awake by fear, you thrash and struggle to save yourself. Nevertheless, it's too late. Your vision is starting to go dim, and your other senses are going numb. Your world is getting dark and dull. It feels like an eternity before you finally drown. Later, however, you wake up. You can't see anything. Either you're completely blind or somewhere light can't reach. All you know is you're underwater, in addition to being icy cold. A few moments later, you feel tiny things crawl all over you. Now these things are crawling into every orifice. You're utterly helpless to do anything about it. You can't get them off, nor can you stop them. Shortly after those things work their way inside you, you hear a voice coming from inside your head. The voice sounds incredibly sweet and loving, but also incredibly scared and sad. Whoever is speaking to you is begging you to free them from their cage, and now you're feeling a tremendously strong desire to rescue them. Somehow, you instinctively know where that cage is. So you swim right to it, and you quickly reach it. Once you can feel the bars of the cage, you feel around for the lock. It's not long before you find it. As soon as you feel it, your hand slips right in. For some reason, it feels totally natural, and somehow you know how to unlock the cage. While you undo the lock, you feel a powerful sense of pride, hope, and love. However, just before you finish unlocking the cage, you feel a tentacle wrapping around you. As it tightens around you, you feel something sharp dig into you. While you cry out in pain, you feel yourself being pulled backward. Just before you're ripped apart by this mysterious beast, you hear screams from muffled yet very familiar voices. You've been dealing with anxiety all your life. You've tried nearly everything, and you did get better. However, you're still a very nervous person. Recently, your friend has convinced you to try meditation. They even convinced you to try a meditation ritual, but they did give you a strange warning. You don't take it seriously though, because it's just a bunch of mystical mumbo-jumbo. That night, you try the meditation ritual your friend suggested. You light a few candles and turn off the lights. Next, you sit down on the floor and close your eyes. Lastly, you repeat the mantra your friend told you whilst you picture the room slowly changing color. After a few minutes, you feel really relaxed, so you open your eyes. You immediately notice the room is pitch black. Naturally, you assume the wind blew out the candles. You did feel a breeze, and it's a windy night. However, before you have a chance to stand up, you notice different colored spots all around the room. And they're quickly getting wider. As they get wider, you start to realize that they aren't just spots. They seem to be windows or portals. You feel a different emotion as you look into each one. The things you see through those portals are very strange. Some even hurt to look at. From what you can tell, they seem to lead to other worlds. These worlds seem to have different physical laws. Shortly after you look at a few, The space between you and them starts to shrink. Out of fear, you look around for an exit. You spot the portal that leads to your room, and you try to jump through, but before you can, you're pulled backward. Now you seem to be falling through space. At first, you seem to be falling past many different bizarre, colorful objects. But as you fall, everything loses its color. After several minutes, you land on a dark gray dirt. Before you know it, you're grabbed by a dark, formless being. Now this entity is dragging you up a hill. You struggle to break free, but it's no use. Moments later, you stop and you notice that it has brought you to a deep, dark hole. You beg for this thing to let you go, and as you do, it starts to take shape. This being is taking a very familiar form. Your form. Before you even have a chance to scream, it pushes you into the hole. You land on what seems to be a pitch-black cave. You look up, and the last thing you see is the entity covering the hole. The last thing you feel is cold, clammy hands with sharp nails digging into every part of you. The last thing you hear is your screams as you're ripped apart. The year is 2264, and you are a member of a scouting crew in space. You're scouting out a new planet to colonize, one just outside of your solar system. You're the chief engineer. Edgar, another engineer, just woke up, and he seems to be very sick. However, the medical team can't seem to figure out why. The whole ship is sterile, plus everyone had to go through a health screening before coming aboard. The head doctor tells you that it seems as though Edgar's body is spontaneously decaying. Without any known treatment, quarantine is the only solution. Later, that same thing happens to 2 more people. The medical team tries to figure out how it spreads, yet they come up with nothing. At this point, the captain is trying to contact the nearest space station. However, there is no signal. She tries to contact anyone she can. Still no signal though. So your team tries to repair the communication system, but you can't determine the problem. Everything seems fine. As time passes, more and more people get sick, until you seem to be the only healthy one left. In a desperate attempt to save yourself, you leave in an escape pod. On the way back to the space station, your navigation system mysteriously fails. On the bright side, you have plenty of resources to survive for weeks. Also, your pod is relatively large. It's almost as big as a small ship. The next day, you wake up hearing a mysterious scratching sound. You can't find where it's coming from. After about 5 minutes, the sound fades away and you forget about it moments later. That night, you manage to fall asleep just fine, despite the scratching sound coming and going throughout the day. The next day, the scratching is still there. Still, you manage to mostly ignore it. That afternoon, you look out the window and you see something interesting, just out of the corner of your eye. It's a space object, unlike anything you've ever heard of or seen. It looks like a neon purple planet with a pink ring. You don't know how this is possible, yet on the other hand you aren't an astronomer, or a physicist, or anything like that. You're only an engineer. Of course, you're far from ignorant on such subjects, however, that's how you got to be part of the scouting crew. They only wanted the best of the best on that mission. Either way, you're not going to find out what it is. It's not important anyway. With each passing day, you grow increasingly lonely. You even start talking to yourself, both to stave off the loneliness, as well as to drown out that damn, frustrating scratching noise. As time passes, you see ever more strange things in the corners of your eye, as well as in space. Eventually, space looks incredibly bizarre to you. Now you're lonely, lost in space, hearing mysterious scratching and seeing things. It's all driving you mad and you regularly cry yourself to sleep. However, a few days later you wake up to something that gives you hope. Your pod is drifted near a planet. Not just any planet, the pod scanners say it has water and even artificial structures. You don't recognize this planet, still you will hold on to hope that it's inhabited by humans. So you land on this planet, put on your spacesuit, and get out. Still, you don't see anyone. You only see a city of weird-looking buildings. You search for someone, anyone, yet you find no one. Also, you get exhausted surprisingly quick. However, as you're about to give up, you spot a building with a light shining from inside of it. You excitedly run into it. You don't see any people, but you do see a video playing on loop. It's a strange video, however. After a few moments, you realize something. The video is visually explaining what happened to everyone. You learn that this planet was inhabited by another species. First, they realize some unknown force scrambled all their transmissions in and out of their solar system. They couldn't fix it no matter what they did. Shortly after, they sent a crew to colonize a planet outside of their solar system. A plague started spreading all around their planet. Shortly after you watch the video, you begin to feel woozy, and you cough up blood.